If you want to target farm a specific boss drop in Last Epoch, the best way to do it is by objective rushing, trying to get as much stability and corruption as your character can handle, and then continuing the process by pushing farther out into the echo web so that you can face the maximum number of bosses for the minimum number of echoes run. A couple of things to keep in mind: if your build is able to kill passively, that is a massive advantage. And also, the faster you move, the faster you progress. So not all builds are going to be equal in this regard. But today, I'm going to be talking about the methods that I've personally been using to boss rush, farm my uniques, and raise my corruption all at the same time. If you like learning how to farm in Last Epoch, or you're just interested in my build, do be sure to get subscribed because I'll be talking about the build in the future, and I've made several farming videos. I'm sure I'm going to make several more. And hey, if you find this useful, don't forget to leave a like while you're down there. But for now, let's get into things. So first up, you start by objective rushing. This means if you can see spires, go kill spires. If you've already killed enough enemies to know where the boss is on the map, just go blast that boss. Don't waste too much time killing packs, and honestly, don't go back for loot unless it looks really shiny. Also, try to avoid arena echoes here, because arena echoes force you to stay there and defeat all the waves, which takes a lot of time. It's much faster to just ignore the arena echoes and keep blasting, keep fighting bosses. Admittedly, the exact time is hard to predict. Sometimes the end point of an echo spawns directly on top of you, and other times it spawns quite far away or requires you to kill a bunch of enemies to get it to reveal itself. But in general, the less time you spend, the better. And so after completing quite a few echoes, you'll extend your echo web out, gaining more stability as you go. This is why corruption actually scales to the point where you get more of it faster the more corruption you have. Kind of, sort of. There's also Gaze of Orbis, which you get from defeating bosses. And since your objective is to boss rush for boss loot, then you'll be doing that quite a lot. Such as if you're in Spirits of Fire and want that sweet Logi's Hunger. Okay, so now I've run a significant number of echoes within the Spirits of Fire. In fact, I have 903 stability and I can go challenge the boss. So I'm one step closer, maybe literally, maybe figuratively, to my blessing or boss drop or whatever I want. The reason it's important to go out from a starting point is you gain stability faster. Higher corruption also means faster stability. So if your build can handle it, absolutely amp that up. For example, right here, 27 timeline stability for completion with up to 56 bonus if you kill all the enemies or whatever the objective is. That's not bad, but coming all the way out to here, to the outer edge, it's now 41 with 84 bonus. Obviously, this will be lower if your corruption's lower and higher if your corruption's higher. This means the higher your corruption, the faster you're going to push these bosses. And the lower your corruption, the more painful it's going to be. Which is why, personally, I prefer to push one area up to at least 200 first, then go farm all my blessings. If your build can't handle 200 corruption without good blessings, you'll have to stop sooner. But getting that bonus definitely makes a difference and helps you progress the zones faster. But once I defeat the boss, I'm not immediately going to do one of these Orbises. Instead, I actually want to complete more echoes out here. If I need boots, I can definitely start farming here. I mean, it's not that much less timeline stability, though, 34 versus 41, there's a significant difference. But I'll very quickly push out further and further until Orbis completely blocks my path and I can't go any more in that direction. So let's defeat the boss and see what that looks like. Now, in good news, you can actually die to these bosses if you mess up and not lose your progress. I don't know if this is going to change in the future. It definitely feels like it could, since you often lose stability or other bonuses on death. That's how it used to work in the past, and they changed it. I could see them flip-flopping again. But at least as of a recording, when you die to a boss, you don't lose anything. However, do be careful if you're doing Orbis, because if you die to Orbis, you lose the Gaze of Orbis buff, which you get from killing the bosses, and thus the bonus corruption. So I'm going to go through, bonk these bosses real quick, and catch you on the other side. Okay, so a few echoes later, 923 stability, and as you can see, I found a dead end here, I found a dead end here, dead end here, here. I died here, but this is probably going to quickly snake over to a dead end. The thing is, even though this snakes over to dead ends, it's still well worth running because of the amount of stability. It took me significantly less echoes to charge up that second boss than it did coming all the way over here, dealing with a low stability, to charge up the first boss. Remember, objective rushing is very, very important. You should absolutely do it whenever possible. And then you get to go fight the boss, build up your Gaze of Orbis, fight Orbis, push your corruption, and repeat the whole process. This way, you'll get more boss drops. The boss drops will have higher LP eventually, because I do believe a corruption bonus applies to that. And overall, you'll have that nice forward progression. And so from there, it's rinse, repeat, profit. Just as a quick reminder, it's actually a lot harder to get very high, especially 4 LP boss drops, than most other classes of item. Now, I'm not saying it won't happen. Sometimes it absolutely will. But if you're looking for target farming, I think for most things, 1 LP, especially if your Circle of Fortune, is quite common. 2 LP for a lot of things, very achievable. 3 LP is going to take some effort, but it can happen. 4 LP, you should probably treat as icing on your cake, something that probably won't happen, but it would be really cool if it did. And that's kind of the thing about Last Epoch's endgame. There's a lot of things that you shouldn't expect to happen, but it's really cool when they do. Now personally, I've used this method to farm several boss-specific drops. On the one hand, I grabbed a Twisted Heart of Ukaros after rerolling to Circle of Fortune on this character, and then on my previous Falconer, I farmed a 2 LP Woven Flesh twice, and then missed the slam twice. Yeah, it turns out I wanted to land health and dexterity on one. Of course, I didn't hit either one. Then on the other, I wanted to land health or dex and the other mod. And of course, I hit both, which was a problem because the health was only T4, and it really wasn't worth using a Woven Flesh with T4 over just wearing a random chest piece that had T7. So I guess lesson learned, be luckier. And also don't give up on your farming, because you'll get stuff eventually. And if you want to know more about how to target farm, then check out my video, which I'll link up in the card and down below. Or if you're looking for info on items and where they drop, check out Maxwell's item database, which will also be down below. But now I'm curious, how's your farming gone so far in Last Epoch? Have you gotten exactly what you want? Were you pleasantly surprised by a 4 LP drop? Or are you still chasing that mythical upgrade which just won't drop for you for whatever reason? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, before I go, I'd like to take a minute to thank my patrons and channel members for the continued support. For as little as $1 a month, you can all make videos just like this one possible. Your direct and financial support goes a long way to ensure my ability to keep creating videos just like this one. Also, a big thanks to everyone who watched to the end. I hope you learned something, I'm glad you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again in the next one.